Sorry about that, guys. That was garbage sounding. I finally, while walking the dog, actually got to listen to the opening there. I thought that was going to be a better situation than just coming soon, but I'll have to play it through the computer, which means I need to get another upgrade. So that's going to take a minute, and I will make sure that intro is a little more calm and relaxing while we wait and get a few people on the chat. Stony Progressive guys, I'll be doing these every night until further notice, sometime around midnight, especially weekends. It's going to be after midnight. Long day at the bar. So I am whipped. Let's get mad and angry. Let's read some headlines, get some news in us. I'm definitely going to be hitting Marjorie Taylor Greene today. I looked her up for the first time. I mean, I'm not a, I don't know how to say that. I'm not a, I mean, I know about politics and I pay attention, but I also don't engulf myself in politics as the show is about. I am more into the strikes. I want to, organize, help strike, strikes, help protests. I want to get out there and get active. We need to push people. And without editing Citizens United and stopping lobbyists, they're all just bought and paid for. So we're going to keep showing how they're all bought and paid for. But to start today, we're going to do some jumping around as always. But I wanted to go somewhere I haven't been in a while. I didn't even watch this. This is from Friday night. I picked it out first thing this morning. I put it as the first thing here today. And let's blaze and watch some headlines. I haven't watched her in a while. So this is going to be not that yet. Here we are. Amy Goodman, Democracy Now! I'm sure everybody's heard of her. Everybody knows her. I have cut Democracy Now! Out of my life for, I don't know, 5-6 years. But, 10 years ago, they were pretty good stuff. Let's see what kind of headlines almost mainstream media has now. They're basically mainstream media, so let's see what kind of headlines almost mainstream media had for this Friday.
DemocracyNow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. A Russian foreign ministry official said Thursday the U.S. risks provoking a nuclear missile crisis with Moscow unless the U.S. and its NATO allies ensure restraint and predictability in the growing conflict over Ukraine. The stark warning came as Russia's top diplomat Sergei Lavrov formally rejected a U.S. response to Russia's demands that offered no new concessions.
The main question is our clear message that we consider further NATO expansion to the east and weapons deployment which can threaten Russian Federation unacceptable.
On Thursday, President Biden reportedly warned Ukraine's president in a phone call that Russia could invade Ukraine in February. The U.S. has called a meeting of the UN Security Council to discuss the crisis Monday. That's one day before Russia is set to take over the rotating presidency of the Council. President Biden confirmed.
I'm guessing that's what most of the mainstream media is talking about is Ukraine and Russia. That's all the press briefings want to talk about.
Thursday, he'll nominate the first black woman Supreme Court justice. He made the commitment at a White House event for retiring Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer. Meanwhile, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell warned Biden against a nominee backed by the, quote, radical left, as Republicans indicated they would seek to draw out the confirmation process. President Biden says he'll nominate the candidate by the end of February. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, is holding an emergency summit today to discuss the bloc's response to the recent military coup in Burkina Faso. On Thursday, coup leader Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Damiba gave his first televised address since he'd led a mutiny that deposed President Kabore Monday.
Il est clair que la priorité principale demeure la sécurité.
It is clear that the main priority remains security. We must significantly reduce the areas under terrorist influence and the impact of violent extremism by giving the security forces and the volunteers for Homeland Defense the will to.
Burkina Faso is like the most, there's like literally like 6 people in the country that are insanely rich and the entire rest of the country is dirt poor, just so we know where we're talking about.
to fight and to go on the offensive.
According to U.S. Africa Command, or AFRICOM, Damiba received training on multiple occasions from the U.S. military. Since 2008, African military officers trained at American so-called peacekeeping programs have successfully led or attempted at least 9 coups across West Africa. In Honduras, Xiomara Castro was sworn in Thursday as the first woman president in Honduran history. Thousands of supporters attended Castro's inauguration ceremony at the National Stadium in the capital, Tegucigalpa. During her speech, Castro ordered free electricity for Hondurans living in extreme poverty, vowed justice for Berta Cáceres and other murdered land and water defenders, and said her government will not continue to loot Honduras.
Poverty increased by 74% to make us the poorest country in Latin America. This figure by itself explains the migrant caravan of thousands of people of all ages who flee to the north, Mexico, and the United States, looking for a place and a way to subsist, regardless of the risk it implies for their lives.
Castro's presidency marks the end of a brutal 12-year regime by the U.S.-backed right-wing National Party, which first came to power after the 2009 U.S.-backed coup that overthrew Castro's husband, President Manuel's.
I saw this everywhere in the headlines the last couple days, too. Thought about doing a piece on it, but if you see something 10 different places, you feel like it's set. Like, you're good. Everybody's seen it. Everybody knows it.
This comes as many are demanding outgoing Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez be indicted and extradited to the United States to face charges of aiding drug traffickers like his brother. In Japan, 6 people who developed thyroid cancer in the aftermath of the 2011 Fukushima nuclear meltdown have filed a landmark lawsuit against the Tokyo Electric Power Company. The plaintiffs were aged 6 to 16 at the time of the devastating earthquake and tsunami, which triggered one of the world's worst nuclear disasters. A court acquitted former executives from the utility company in 2019. Meanwhile, a plan to release wastewater from the Fukushima plant starting next year has sparked international condemnation. At least 70 people in southern Africa were killed as Tropical Storm Ana struck Madagascar this week before slamming into Mozambique and Malawi. Torrential rains triggered landslides and caused flooding that washed away bridges, submerged farmers' fields, and damaged tens of thousands of homes. Hardest hit was Madagascar, where the UN says 1 million people are already facing severe hunger from food shortages brought on by acute drought. Last year, the World Food Programme warned Madagascar faced the first ever famine caused by climate change. Meanwhile, one of the largest icebergs ever observed has broken up in the southern Atlantic Ocean. When it drifted away from Antarctica in 2017, iceberg A68A was roughly the size of Delaware, weighing in at an estimated 1 trillion tons. Scientists warn melting ice from the berg has dumped billions of tons of fresh water into salty seas near South Georgia Island, with unknown consequences for marine life and the environment. A federal judge in Washington, D.C. has canceled oil and gas leases in the Gulf of Mexico, ruling the Biden administration's auction of 80 million acres last year failed to sufficiently account for the climate crisis. It's a major victory for environmentalists who've been fighting what would have been the largest sale of offshore oil and gas leases in U.S. history. The Los Angeles City Council has voted to prohibit new oil and gas wells and phase out existing wells within city limits. The measure also creates a program to help oil and gas workers transition to jobs in other industries. Los Angeles Council President Nuri Martinez spoke ahead of Wednesday's unanimous vote.
For far too long, neighborhood drilling has disproportionately affected the health of our low-income communities of color. From freeways to power plants, our frontline communities bear the brunt of pollution and climate impacts.
A 2021 study by University of Southern California researchers found residents of majority Black and Latinx communities in South Los Angeles who live near oil and gas sites have lower lung function, which may contribute to environmental health disparities. President Biden heads to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania today to promote his recently passed $1 trillion infrastructure bill. Hours before Biden's visit, a bridge connecting Pittsburgh's Regent Square and Squirrel Hill neighborhoods collapsed. No injuries were reported at the time of this broadcast, but residents reported a strong smell of natural gas in the area. The U.S. Coast Guard has suspended its search for dozens of migrants who are feared dead after their boat capsized.
I mean, she keeps it rolling at least, because it's all the stuff you've seen glimpses and pictures of, but keeps it moving.
Capsized off the coast of Florida on Saturday. 5 bodies have been found, while 34 people are still missing. One survivor was rescued earlier this week as he clung to the hull of the sinking boat, which had departed from the Bahamas. Oklahoma prison officials have carried out the first execution in the United States this year. 46-year-old Donald Grant was strapped to a gurney at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary in McAlester Thursday morning.
Oh, I think I just lost that. Fantastic. But yeah, that was a pretty standard. Lost everybody. Okay. What is happening? Okay, we'll try this some more. I moved on. Okay, good. Moving into the progressive takedown this week. I wanted to start in with something I wanted to show last night, but ran out of time. And no time like the present to get into this. This is Nico House again. Nico and the combo couch. They have really great shows. I think I've shown him one other time before. Used to hang out with him a lot, and always quite a big fan of his reporting and protest discussions.
What's up, everybody? It is Thursday, and it is 5 p.m. We're about to be 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so, today, like I said earlier.
Like I said, I was going to show you to you yesterday. I guess it was from Thursday, so I didn't see it till Friday. Everybody doesn't see everything every time. Speaking of which, if most people who see this are going to be catching it later. Seems like we get 6 to 10 times more views after the stream. So if you're seeing this, just know I stream about 12:30 every night. I'll be doing this every night until I get most of these Congress people taken down. And I'm just going to keep plugging away, keep going at it until I run out of steam. But it'll keep happening for a while. And so, yeah, if you're watching this later, Nico House, he's one of the many alternative indie sources I like to follow. And this is his rant from a couple days ago.
We have a very special Rockfin Premium stream, Rockfin exclusive stream, where Steve Poikonen of Slow News Day will be joining the show. And together, he and I will be doing a very, very, very deep dive into the long-standing history of U.S. Nazi collaboration. Trust me, a lot of this information you probably have never heard before. There are a lot of moving parts, but given the Ukraine-Russia conflict, or specifically the beef between East Ukraine and West Ukraine, and how everything has been, kind of getting, I feel like we've been coming to we've come to a point now where we have to kind of start asking ourselves some serious questions about history and our place in it as a country, and whether or not we've been lied to, which of course, as most of you all know, is the majority of the time. But I would say in the case of World War II, in the case of Hitler, Nazi Germany, the U.S.'s role in all of it, the lies are more egregious than a lot of you would believe. A lot of people's foundation of their patriotism is cemented in this. Well, at least the U.S. had one good war that we were necessary to be a part of in order for it to win, and this was a good thing that. If you come and check on the stream over on Rockfin, you might just find out that
everybody should get Rockfin too. That's a fantastic platform. There's like college sports or whatever, wrestling or whatever, but then there's also a ton of independent media people who put things on there that they can't put on YouTube because YouTube will censor you and strike you if you say certain words, if you give certain opinions, or lean things in a certain direction. Free speech.
2 might have always been the U.S.'s plan to begin with. So, with that being said, hope to see you all over there. If you want to endorse the channel to become a Rockfin Premium subscriber, all you have to do is subscribe for $9.99 a month. Not only do you get my channel, but you also get the premium videos of everybody's channel. You get to come and follow the channel for free, of course. You already know that if you're on Rockfin. But Thursdays we have our Rockfin Premium streams, and I've changed the format of the show to doing super deep dives into stuff that I'm interested about, and I know a lot of you are interested about. So make sure y'all come over there right now, 5 p.m. Eastern is where we're gonna get started, so about 4 minutes. The stream is already live, so stop by and say what's up to myself and Steve, and then after Steve leaves, at 6 p.m. Eastern, Franco will be joining the show to talk about what went down at the protests on January 23rd, this past Sunday. All right. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, see you over on Rockfin. And
Frank analysis. Franco also had another video of his lined up. I don't think we'll get to tonight. We will tackle that tomorrow. But everything's looking better again. Let me check the stream while we get you here before we jump into Marjorie. MTG. I did not realize so many people are going to be like she was going to have such a sphere universe around her. Let's see here. It's going well. All right, good enough. So, nope, right there. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Still a progressive takedown, guys. Republican Party, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She is our Trump diehard. She took over Georgia's 14th congressional district. She won the November 3rd general election. So she she won pretty sufficiently, and her opponent unofficially withdrew, which is quite interesting. I did not dig into that yet. I did want to show it was a mildly close primary. The runoff and the original. It seemed to be that she if you look at this, so they had a runoff, of course. So her primary, she got 43,813 votes, and she got about the same amount in the original primary. Everybody else went to John Cowan. It was rather you wanted this chick or you wanted anybody else. Was essentially what happened in there. And so, politics is all about trying to unite people and trying to, get both sides to eventually agree with you, because you want more, you want independents to vote for you. You want possible people that are reasonable on the other party to see you as an honest person and to vote for you. I've never read the key messages, but I have to read all 3 of these. These are fantastic. She's interesting. So Greene said her key messages that she put on Ballotpedia as her key financial messages. Greene said, I'm a conservative wife, mother of 3, and businesswoman in the construction industry who stands with President Trump and against the left-wing socialists who want to wreck our country. Okay. Yeah, all right. Socialists wreck our country. Most programs that have kept our country for what you would call solid strength, like Social Security, Medicare. These are socialist programs. So are police, so are firefighters. Those are socialist programs. So those are the military. Okay. Greene stated, I am running to stop gun control, open borders, the Green New Deal, and socialism. Because saving our environment, fuck you. Gun control, no fucking way. We gotta have every weapon we can have. Pew pew pew. There's reasonable guns. It's just and that we're not allowed to have rocket launchers. What are we gonna do when the government shows up and hits you with rocket launchers? Come on, Bob. What are you doing, Bob? Sorry, all I can hear is Hugo's voice in my head because the stamp cedar and why does it have to be Hugo? Her final statement. Greene's campaign said radical socialists want Americans on the same government-run healthcare plan with welfare recipients and illegal immigrants, and the same ones everybody gets when they're 65, 67, 73, 85, whatever. Marjorie Greene is fighting against these radical socialists and will take a fight to Congress. So calling somebody radical in every single one of your freaking statements doesn't exactly show that you're trying to unify anybody. You're not trying to win anybody over. You're not trying to listen to anybody else's ideas. You have put yourself in a bubble, and you are, I don't care about conspiracy theories, I don't care about what crazy crap you believe. You put yourself in a bubble that you only will listen to people that agree with you, and you ostracize anybody that's outside of this bubble, and you blame them for things, and this is what's wrong. Like, I don't care about her beliefs. She is what's wrong with people in the fact that she has completely cut herself and radicalized any beliefs outside of her capital dominant, fuck everybody belief, like white supremacist crazy bullshit belief that she has. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Like, to have like just this kind of poison. All right, well, first thing I found on her is that she has possibly violated election laws, and she might not be able to run a second time. I mean, she's currently running campaign financing, but the problem was she was soliciting donations to Stop Socialism Now, a super PAC, but she was saying it in the ads in a misleading way, and so the FEC is supposedly extremely tight on these kind of things. I'm guessing it's like they say they're like CNN says they're extremely tight, and then we look at it and go, holy crap, it doesn't matter what you do, you can do whatever you want. Well, look. So supposedly she's going to have some problems running, and that's why Trump has backed off supporting her and let her kind of get further away from them. So whenever I look at somebody, I just want to know where their money came from. Her big contributors were Republicans, conservative think tanks, PACs, and mega donors. So all the same people that would donate to any other hard right are donating to her. It's massive billionaires, and they've given her the platform to be the antithesis to AOC, essentially. MTG is the antithesis to AOC. She's allowed to be crazy right, and they're going to feed her tons of money because they want her in there. But she's already gotten hit for taking money in a wrong way, and she might not go run again. So she got wild with it. She don't care. And of course, this still is having a hard time catching up to the. But her contributors, what's up? Show you her contributors. House Freedom Fund. So the House Freedom Fund, her number one contributor by 10 times more than anybody else. These are 8 times more than anybody else. This is a one-time Republican PAC where they get you in the door on your first campaign, and they only push the furthest of right. You have to be strict, just right down the right. You have to push hard for these divisive issues. Like, you actually have to be part of these divisive issues because they want people in there to be divisive. That's what they want. It's so ridiculous. Back with electric, sounds like, a neighborhood electric company. It's actually like a massive conglomerate electric company that sells things to like other electric companies. DTS, same kind of situation. They're actually a conglomerate, not a small-time company. These are massive, massive companies here. And then Evans Construction Company, because of course, like I said, her family is in construction. She actually is independently wealthy for operating and selling a fitness place. And then she became independently wealthy, and then they did construction. So, she made it herself by abstracting wealth from people who need homes and probably charging them more than she needs to charge. Good on you. Hooray for you. And being a right-winger, she's not great on cannabis. Go figure, she's not a big supporter of our cannabis club here. She's not okay with the ending of it, the prohibition of it federally. are expending cannabis convictions, reinvesting in communities impacted by the war on drugs. She's okay with legalizing adult use and medical use, but not okay with the VA to recommend cannabis. And that is always, like I said, a big F you to you. Like, you're okay with our troops just not getting the medicine they need. And you're not okay with cannabis banks, businesses using banks, which is, again, ridiculous. Like, you guys are supposed to be capitalism. And that's the number one like, you're against vets and you're against banks, capitalism. So that doesn't exactly fare well for you. But as I said at the beginning, I don't really know her. And I don't try to exhaust myself into the crazinesses of the far right. So let's take a dive, a deep dive. She had a clip recently. That's why I was told to check her out. And I got to check this out from a outside source, because if I use mainstream media, they throttle me. So I have not seen this yet. I have not watched Ring of Fire in quite a long time. They are under the TYT network band. He is one of the more tolerable people that does a show under their network. I'm not even sure if they're still on their network, honestly.
Little low budget, and did an interview on a local Georgia station called UCTV that also happened to be a call-in show. And one of the callers took the opportunity to let Marjorie Taylor Greene know exactly what she thinks of her. Take a look at this caller going off on Marjorie Taylor Greene. Here it is.
Hello.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Yes, I just want to say thank God for Joe Biden. She is an embarrassment to the state of Georgia.
Well, we all have our opinions.
Amen to that, and I've got mine.
All righty, thank you.
I love how Marjorie Taylor Greene just kind of sits there and awkwardly smiles and just kind of takes the abuse, because she's not exactly used to people calling her out like that. And that's why this needs to happen more often. Then, of course, the host is like, well, everybody's in.
Well, that's funny that he says that. I literally know nothing about her, and I just assumed by the way her opinions are expressed that she sits in a bubble. And this political analysis agrees with me. Aha.
Entitled to their opinions. Well, sure, everybody is. And I'm glad you didn't try to berate that woman. Of course, I haven't seen what happens after that clip. Maybe you did. But this woman didn't say anything that was wrong. She really didn't even say anything that was that mean. She could have been far more harsh against Marjorie Taylor Greene, but she decided to go the easy route, right? Didn't want to offend her too bad and just said, you're an embarrassment. And that is true. And that is what the people in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district need to understand. I know they love her there, but honestly, think to yourself, what has she done for you other than embarrass you? She hasn't voted for any legislation that would actually benefit you. She hasn't proposed any legislation that would actually benefit you. She doesn't serve on any committees, so it's not like she can go to Congress and help steer more funds towards your district. She is doing nothing for you, but she is doing everything for herself. That's probably why she went on that UCTV show. No offense to the host there, but that's kind of the thing that's typically for a high-profile politician, and unfortunately that's what Grene is. That's the kind of thing that's a little beneath them, right? Most politicians would look at that and say, there's really no point in going on this show. But Marjorie Taylor Greene is so desperate for attention, she will take it anywhere she can get it. And this time she stepped into the wrong one. Never.
Don't think it was that rough. I mean, they didn't hear it at all. She just kind of was awkward about it. I thought she was going. I mean,
a good idea to have somebody as polarizing as Marjorie Taylor Greene.
It was some facts. It was some questions. It was some, like, how can you? Why are you missing votes? Why are you voting this way? Like, that kind of softball doesn't do anything to anybody. They can roll off that. They know people of that sort know that they give polarized, emotional responses.
Take live phone calls on the air. You're going to end up with individuals that call her out, and rightfully so. This woman who called in, again, was 100% correct. And I guess maybe it is a good thing that Grene decided to go on this show, because, yeah, this is a local Georgia show. Her voters likely watched this, and maybe it opened a couple people's eyes. I don't think it's going to change enough minds to get her out of office, but maybe just a couple people here and there. Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw she's in a 70% red district, so it's going to be a Republican primarying her, not a Democrat taking her out.
That's the best we can hope for. If 4 or 5 people watched that and said, you know what, she's right. What is she doing for us? What is going on here? She's traveling the country with Matt Gaetz, or at least she did over the summer. She didn't come here. She's not helping us. She's not doing anything that's going to make our lives better. That is what we want those voters to realize when it comes to Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's an embarrassment to them because she's trying to make a name for herself.
Thanks for watching, and if you like what you saw, don't forget.
Looks like maybe they got out. Hard to tell. He was in the TYT network. He might have got out as well. The Ring of Fire, not so bad of a political commentary there. And I just kind of want to look over her, like, I try to do this with time frames, so the most recent. And the first things we see when we look up her name on YouTube, and it's all over the board. Cincinnati rally with MTG, booed after reported flood of complaints. Like I said, she evokes an emotional response, so that is going to get negative and positive, so it's going to get you kicked out of some places. Somebody's calling, some guy in a beard's calling her a Christian terrorist. That's fun. Somebody covering what we just saw, somebody covering what we just saw, somebody covering what we just saw, what we just saw, what we just saw, what we just saw. Here is somebody doing a video on a, it doesn't say Democrat, trying to take out her. Again, this was a 70-30 area. That's not usually something that's going to be completely reversed. I mean, I guess maybe he knows the area. Maybe he knows how to find a loophole there, but it's not very likely a Democrat's going to flip that area that far. Chew out, really? See, this is like roasted. I mean, roasted. Roasted, Sam Cedar, roasted. So, like, it's this whole, like, I felt like that was pretty casual, and, I mean, it's not really worth, there's literally a dozen clips on here about it. It's not really worth that. I mean, it was okay, whatever. She has freaks outs that were way more interesting. Seeing that, like, kind of like crazy person in the glimmer of her eye. She loves Alex Jones. That's fun. So there is a Republican challenger. That's fun. Oh, same person under a different channel. The guy that just did, yeah, so he must be under TYT's network still. At odds. So there was one down here, this was a while ago when I looked her up, that had something about Trump trying to distance herself because of that whole income, satanic racist. Yeah, her last talk, like he was just saying when she doesn't do anything, her last talk on the Hill was the Georgia Bulldogs winning a national title for college football. And before that, literally I didn't see another one. Like, you're just, when I looked earlier today, I didn't see her on the floor of DC, and we're going back 3 weeks now. She does have a lot of clips. She has a lot of people talking about her. She evokes a response. And the fact people voted for her is kind of disgusting, but I don't know how. I mean, I don't know how they campaigned for her. She had Koch brothers money in there. She had, massive super PACs and electric general, not General Electric, but big electric companies. So I don't know what kind of commercial and ground game they had, but she got elected, and she's not doing anything because, again, there's nothing on here on C-SPAN from her being on the House and talking, except for rooting for the team of her state winning a national championship, which is just so, that is a stupid. Oh, here we go. No, that's just watching viral moments. So that's not even. I guess we could watch viral moments, but that's the kind of person she is. She's a viral person, and I mean that in both the internet and the infectious lung disease kind of way. So I would think that's enough for her, and I am right. So let's move on to the second half of the show. I don't know if you can tell, destroyed myself today, so my lips are like I got lipstick on. I'm so dehydrated. I'm running around all night. Let's not do Pete Buttigieg right off the bat. That just seems mean. No, we're going to do Pete Buttigieg right off the bat. Let's be mean. I'm kidding. I think this is a funny clip. So if anybody, this is from a few days ago, 2-3 days ago now, and if you saw anything about it, it was like his ridiculous one line of, "No, I want to get to the point where no one ever dies from a transportation death." Like that's what he wants. America is the kind of place that you can go from anywhere to anywhere and not have to worry about somebody passing away. Which, I mean, accidents happen no matter how far ahead the technology gets. Eventually, some sensor's going to give out and something's going to happen. There's things that are going to happen. But that's the one quote that came off this spiel here and got a little bit of newsworthiness. I happen to watch this live. I watch everything I can possibly watch live when it is live, and that way I have time to think and react, and I like to see what the reaction from mainstream media is. Let's watch the whole clip. It was like 8 minutes, 7 minutes long. It's not that long, and the fact that people cut a minute and a half out and then use 6 words really gives a way the mainstream media tries to dissect the narrative and really take clips and sound bites. It's not that hard of a 7-minute clip. And let's smoking session number 2.
Sadly, I think each of us can already think about the reality behind the statistics. I think every one of us can close.
So he goes into, it's really, really long. I mean, he's trying to be a good speaker. He's trying to make something memorable here. He really is. So right now he's talking about, as a collective group, we can all think about somebody getting hurt and dying in a car accident.
Close our eyes right now and picture people we've known, friends, family members, a high school teammate, a coworker, someone whose life needlessly ended far too soon because of a crash on our roads. If you think about what that means, the fact that every one of us can think of people lost and speak of it as a sad but universal truth, it is as if we were living through a war. It is as if it were normal. Certainly you see that in the kinds of numbers that we live with. We have for years been averaging almost 3,000 deaths per month on our roads. So added up in the last decade, we have lost more than 350,000 lives on America's roadways. And things have gotten worse during recent years as people drove at higher speeds, more recklessly, more distracted. We're going to be posting as a department our official fatality data for the third quarter of 2021. And I need to tell you, looking at the preliminary numbers, it's not good. This is a national crisis. When we look deeper at the numbers, we notice 2 things. One, it is disproportionately impacting some Americans more than others. People of color, Native Americans, low-income communities, people in rural areas more likely to die on our roads. And yet the other thing that we see is this crisis indeed affects everyone, claiming lives from people of every age, every race, every income level in rural communities and big cities alike. We cannot and must not accept that these fatalities are somehow an inevitable part of life in America. Think about the fact that when somebody's about to get in the car or go somewhere, we might say, drive safe. We don't do that with most other routine everyday activities in civilian life, partly because we have, as a society, acted to make sure that more and more everyday activities are certain to be safe. When somebody's headed to a restaurant, we don't say, eat safe today, because food is far safer thanks to the food safety laws of the early 20th century. We've acted to make American workplaces safer, realizing that on-the-job deaths are unacceptable. Of course, there's more work to do in that area, but your workplace is 1/5 as likely to be deadly today as it was before OSHA took effect 50 years ago. So when it comes to roadway deaths, we have a crisis that is urgent, unacceptable, and preventable. We know that roadway deaths are preventable because some places are doing a better job at preventing them than others. Canada's traffic fatality rate is about half of what ours is. In Europe, it's about a quarter. And it's not like there's something about Americans that causes this intrinsically, because we can look around our country and see that some places are doing better than others. Hoboken, New Jersey went 3 years without a traffic death. Fremont, California dramatically reduced their crash rates. New York City saw steady, significant declines in deaths before COVID, as the Deputy Secretary mentioned. And these improvements, of course, didn't come on their own. They happened after each of those places adopted new policies around traffic safety. We also know road deaths are preventable because across the U.S., roadway fatalities and the fatality rate declined consistently for around 30 years before stalling during the last decade, and now, as I mentioned, going back up in more recent years. I've spoken about roadway safety with everybody who will listen. I've talked about it with the President, the Vice President, leaders in Congress, state, local officials, advocates, car manufacturers, people of every political and professional background. And as we have spoken and as I have listened and learned from so many experts, one thing that's very clear is a universal agreement that we should be doing something. The question is, what will it take? So let's talk about what it'll take and what we're going to do. The first thing it takes is a strategy with the resources and programs to deliver on that strategy. That's why today we are proud to launch the National Roadway Safety Strategy, a true first. It represents a comprehensive plan to significantly reduce injuries and deaths on America's roadways. And with America's 3 principal roadway safety agencies aligned, the Federal Highway Administration, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, we are embarking on a safe system approach. Experts embrace this approach to lowering risks by building multiple layers of protection: safer roads, safer people, safer vehicles, safer speeds, and better post-crash care. People make mistakes, but human mistakes don't always have to be lethal. And in a well-designed system, safety measures make sure that human fallibility does not lead to human fatalities. That's what we'll be doing for America's roads with the National Roadway Safety Strategy and the safe system approach that it embraces. Now, often there's a great strategy out there, but it's limited by a lack of resources. That's why we are so fortunate in this moment to be able to meet the moment with unprecedented safety funding and vital new programs impacting safety, thanks to President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law. That law creates a new Safe Streets and Roads for All program, providing $6 billion to help cities and towns deliver new comprehensive safety strategies, as well as accelerate existing successful safety initiatives. It will protect not only drivers, but all road users, including people who bike or walk or use a wheelchair. Pedestrian fatalities, as the second gentleman mentioned, have been increasing significantly faster than overall roadway fatalities, and we need to address the safety of those outside as well as those inside the vehicle. The infrastructure law also creates additional funding, increases funding for the Highway Safety Improvement Program by over $4 billion. And earlier this month, President Biden launched the biggest investment to fix our bridges since the interstate highway system, which will help make bridges safer for drivers, passengers, cyclists, and pedestrians alike. Now, the National Roadway Safety Strategy is not just new programs and funding, it also makes our existing safety programs more ambitious and more coordinated. Tools like our vehicle rating system, our guidance for the design of roadways, and our requirements for state driver licensing agencies. Another thing that it's going to take in order to change the trajectory of roadway safety in this country is a single, ambitious, shared goal. And today we commit that our goal is this: 0. Our goal is 0 deaths. A country where one day nobody has to say goodbye to a loved one because of a traffic crash. I understand the scale of the challenge and the ambition represented by that goal, and I understand that we may not get there during my tenure as secretary. But the decision to commit to that goal in a serious way at a national level changes the way cities and towns design roads, it changes the ways companies build cars, it changes the way people drive them. Jurisdictions and organizations that have adopted that goal have used it to save lives, and it is now our intention to do the same as a matter of national policy. So we have policies, we have programs, we have resources, we have a goal, and we have leaders. We're standing here in the U.S. Department of Transportation headquarters. We're joined by the second gentleman of the United States of America because this is a priority for the department, for the administration, and for the country. We also need partners in state and local government, like our friends represented here, and outside of government, like the advocates who have laid so much of the groundwork to bring America to this point. None of us can do this alone. We are going to team up with governors, mayors, county executives, local leaders, the ones who actually design and maintain so much of America's road systems. Our strategy gives government at every level a shared roadmap, and we're counting on their help, just as they can count on ours. We're going to partner with advocates and philanthropies, working on ways to support communities that may not have had the expertise or the staff to do this on their own. And we will be working with the technology, autonomous vehicles, concerns, safety features being delivered along the way. Having your also clear that technology alone will not save us, certainly not on any acceptable timeline. So the final thing I want to address, maybe more important than any single piece of technology or policy, is that we need a national change in mentality. It is time for a transformation in how people think about road safety. Together, we can act to change the culture and the expectations. We're so accustomed to hazards on our roads that we sometimes behave as if the risks of today's roadways are inevitable, but they're not. People should leave the house and know that they're going to get to their destination safely. Once we believe that, and believe in our ability to collectively make progress, once we demand better, we will see more positive changes cascading across governments and industries. And that culture change can also motivate change among drivers who need to put down their phones, take their foot off the gas, and of course, drive sober.
That kind of seemed condescending and like, you're not my dad, shut up, dude.
There's no vaccine that will protect us from deadly car crashes today. And yet, like a pandemic, it's a case where we can only protect our loved ones by acting together. Through systems change, streets, laws, norms, manufacturers, technology, drivers, all at the same time, we will save lives. So we're calling on all of America, every level of government, every insurance company, every motor carrier, every auto manufacturer to embrace and commit to the specific actions for partners that we are releasing as a companion to the National Roadway Safety Strategy, knowing that if we work together and do this right, we will save so many lives. The nature of good safety work is that we won't know the names of the people whose lives will be saved by these efforts. But we will know that so many Americans who might otherwise have been an empty seat at the dinner table will instead be right where they belong. And who knows, the lives that you act to help save just might include your own. I believe we are fully capable of meeting these goals by committing to these actions, and we know that with lives on the line, there is not a moment to lose. So let's get to work.
And that's the 10 minutes of that speech. Like I said, boring and simple as can be, and they blew it up all about that 6 words or 10 words you want to look back at, and it wasn't that important, but yeah, he's just trying to put together speeches, and he's trying to be emotional, and he's trying not to look like a political robot, because that's what we see him as. And sorry, that was 11 minutes on a 1 1/4 speed, so hopefully I jammed that in there in 10 minutes. That's what she said. So let us move on. That's going to be later. But next, my first taste of Vaush. Let me get some water. Hold on. Gross. Vaush is gross. That's my first taste of Vaush. Vaush is gross. So, didn't really mean to click on them today. I was just kind of looking through some things, and I decided I'll give them a shot in a day. I've had some people I respect tell me not to, and this is kind of some self-loathing. Let's do it. So this has been, in this debate, guys, I'm sorry, but this debate is like splitting people's minds. If you think either of these people destroyed the other, you're ridiculous. It was not a destroying of any sort. The biggest thing that was exposed was that Sam Cedar and his whole crew are anywhere left. They are center in mediocre political commentary. That's what they proved. But yeah, let's give Vaush and his rainbow chuckles. I don't know. He's got like a Mickey Mouse cartoon of like Care Bears or something. Like I see Care Bears and the like like the Care Bears care a lot. I guess I'm dating myself probably, but that's what I see when I see him laugh. I just see the Care Bears like shooting things out of their chest, the hearts and rainbows and chocolate, or I don't remember.
you are a communist. And so, I don't know what you got going there. And so I was told that you are a communist.
So that's why I started that right there, because he starts out calling him a communist because he doesn't really know the person he's talking to, and he didn't bother to look the person up or actually do any research on the person. And then his chuckle is just weird and creepy and all sorts of things.
Communist, and that you wanted to come on and you emailed me that you wanted to debate. This is what you wrote. Would love to focus the discussion around your support for the squad. I personally believe the squad and progressives and
it always comes down to that. That's like the line for them. It's like, how do we get healthcare? By hating AOC. The funny thing is, I don't think when was the last time I said anything positive about the squad on my channel? Right? I actually don't think I ever talk about them. I think the most recent time was I defended Ilhan Omar against some accusations of anti-Semitism, but I think it's been at minimum half a year. I just don't talk about them that much. I even kind of ribbed AOC for the tax the rich dress thing, and I gave her a lot of shit for her voting neutrally on the Iron Dome funding in Congress. So they think about the squad nonstop. Yeah, I don't know. It's just
Congress are sellouts who have abandoned virtually every aspect of progressive principles over the last couple of years. Let me know if you'd be down to discuss this. And I was a little surprised. Are you all right? Can you see the?
Yeah, the thing just moved, so I got to fix it.
Okay, there you go. All right. So let me just, so that my audience can know who you are. You've got a show called The Dive, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And are you, and you are a communist, yes?
I'm a Marxist-Leninist, anti-imperialist, and American patriot.
Okay. All right. And
what is that?
Because I have to say, I was a little bit surprised by what you wanted to talk about.
I think those are just a few of the ways that they have
gotten preferential treatment from the Democratic establishment.
Like I said, we're gonna skip
down to the juice with these guys.
We're gonna skip ahead a few times. I wanted to watch maybe like 10 minutes of this because I watched it on. Oh, maybe I should slow it down. I have it at 1 1/4. I watched it on 1 1/2 before, and I had to stop it several times because his laugh at 1 1/2 will literally send shivers down your spine the first couple times. It's creepy crazy. It's weird at 1 1/4. Let's watch these couple clips at full normal speed because even 1 1/4 it's a little jarring for me.
In what way? Because as far as I can tell, like for instance, AOC, Katie Porter's not exactly in the squad, but I imagine you include her in this group. They got actually the opposite of preferential treatments when it came to committee positions. Committees are the most important thing in terms of exercising power. They literally censured Ilhan Omar. They attempted to do it almost.
I think in some regards they have been attacked, and there is going to be that friction there. But in some ways, Sam, in some ways, because you're trying to act like there's no ways that they've been treated preferentially.
Just tell me.
I mean, they were invited to create dialogue with the Biden administration on a whole host of policies and different policy arenas to influence the Biden agenda.
I love how incapable he is of specifics, man. Sam Cedar is the worst person to talk to with someone like Hinkle because Sam Cedar pays attention to actual like procedural stuff going on in Washington.
He doesn't seem to, like he seems to he procedural stuff like what they are telling us. Like he listens to like, oh yeah, I mean that's what the Democrats say, so that's what I'm going to say is happening. They say that this is going on behind closed doors, so why would you not believe that? He's a D-list actor. He's not a genius. He ain't no political mass science. I don't know. Like he's a freaking D-list actor that happened to have some following and he used it. And he happened to have some money through NBC, so he used it. And so Vaush worshiping him is my whole problem with this whole freaking debate. People like just saying, "Oh, he thrashed him. It was if you watch the debate and you don't listen to somebody that's objectively like just rah, like not actually listening to these people, and you're like, wow, I mean, one person got aggressive and annoying. They got spatty for quite a while of it. They kept spatting at each other, and it got like a little bit annoying to listen to. And then your stupid chuckle over here, dude, like you're getting all excited and weird about things that are like, I mean, they're kind of going back and forth right now. I don't know your
actually talk with somebody who follows this stuff, and all you have is like, well, they've gotten like a chance to influence agendas. Like, what do you...
There's a protein shake that kills cravings and slashes.
What are you talking about? Being brought, like, the Justice Dems are like a fairly prominent group within like the Democrats. It makes sense that they would be able to talk with Biden. You know, if you're a congressperson, you can talk with Biden, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's not exactly how it works. Not at all. I mean, if you're a freshman congressperson, you're not going to just like meet up with Biden. You're not going to at all do that. You're going to talk to a senior congressman. You're going to relay that information and maybe meet up with them. Maybe, but most likely, you're going to talk with someone like Kamala's assistant or something. So no, just because you're a congressman doesn't mean you get to meet with Biden. That's ignorant.
There's usually some kind of interplay there to an extent. It's kind of expected that there's some communication. You're part of the same party.
Although I don't think they've really done that, with the exception of maybe climate change. They've also, I mean, Ilhan Omar.
So is Vaush like video game famous or like, or how is he famous that he has any clue what's going on right now? He doesn't seem like he knows anything.
Omar, for example, was
why does
she
the
was
mic
made whip of the
why does the mic favor Hinkle so much when this is being recorded from Sam's end?
Congressional Progressive
I go back
Caucus.
for a while.
We also have Ilhan Omar introducing bills that have already passed the House, thanks in part to Nancy Pelosi's support. So,
like negligible, like a huge decrease, relative to what stuff was previously. Far fewer civilians killed as well. Declare.
Oh yeah.
On my end, like it doesn't normally. Well, I guess I normally record locally. Oh man, do they not record this locally? They're recording directly from Zoom, not from the audio that Sam is getting. Oh no. Okay, we need to talk to Sam Cedar just so we can tell him, like, you can record this locally. He's streaming through OBS, right? Or some similar program. There's no reason to pull this directly off of Zoom.
Here, all right, you've made your assessment.
Oh, sorry, really quickly, by the way. Yeah, here's the airstrike info.
That's right. So I missed that segment. Vaush says that essentially Biden has been fantastic for anti-war because he is pulling out of Afghanistan and he has decreased the drone bomb program in America more than any president ever. Well, that's like literally the most ignorant thing you could ever say, because drone bombing before Obama wasn't a thing. Like, they literally started during Obama's presidency. So you're looking at 3 presidents, one of which he was vice president for, which we drone bombed the living crap out of everybody on the planet. And then Trump de-escalates a little bit, and now we're mostly hiring mercenaries to take care of things that we do now. We're hiring outside, so we don't have we're giving it away. Like, here's the drones and drone bombs. There you go, Saudi Arabia. You do it. Like, here you go, Colombia. You do it. That's what we're doing. So that's simply, just because we're allowing sales of our weapons to other countries doesn't mean we're not involved in that war. Giving them the weapons to kill somebody is still being involved in that war. You simpleton.
Going from 2020, the last year of Trump's presidency, to 2021, you had about half the Afghanistan drone strikes, which kind of makes sense given the tumult of our pullout. Iraq dropped to 1/4, and then Somalia and Yemen dropped to like negligible, like a huge decrease.
Well, are you not gonna say, why are we drone bombing Yemen? Why are we drone bombing Somalia? You're not gonna say that? You're not going to ask those questions? You're just going to be like, oh, they cut those down a bit, so that's good. Not the fact that we were doing it 60, 70 times a month, or just ridiculous. Like,
relative to what stuff was previously, far fewer civilians killed as well. declared U.S. drone strikes per year. We have like the lowest number since 2004, when drone strikes were barely even, or just strikes in general, I guess, declared U.S. strikes. Anyway, yeah, just an interesting thing that, yeah, just worth noting.
Yeah, just worth noting that, you know, Biden has decreased the war machine. So no, he hasn't. They actually increased he hasn't decreased anything at all. But that's what he tried to spout right there, was that Biden's decreasing the war machine. So he is doing really well. And this is the last segment. Vaush really, I mean, I watched this pretty fast, and everything he says, I'm just like, nah, that's not exactly sure. And he keeps going, you're not even going to give facts. Oh, I got facts for you. You're not even going to give facts. And then he doesn't come up with facts for like another hour, or he'll put it off for another 20 minutes or
politicians
whatever.
should do, broadly speaking, is go in and try and get legislation that is positive passed. And so if
what positive legislation have they gotten passed by donating to those DCCC candidates?
Well, the Build Back Better bill passed in the House.
Did it pass in the Senate?
No, but she didn't give to senators.
So what legislation has the squad voted for, and it's also passed in the Senate, that you think is good and directly a result of them donating 5,000?
It's like every attempt he has just falls through. Also, like, with the exception of outliers like Manchin and Sinema, like, I think if you take a look at the Build Back Better voting pattern in the Senate, it's pretty clear that having moderate Democrats is still way better than having Republicans in the Senate, right?
Nope, doesn't matter. Bought by the same people, essentially the same thing. This whole spiel here, I have to say no to everything. So I guess let's do it. Let's say no to everything. Ready?
Like, I think that's pretty obvious, you know?
Nope.
Like, a moderate Democrat is still a lot better than a Republican.
Nope.
By a really big margin.
Not even close.
The difference between a moderate Democrat, like just an average middle-of-the-road Democrat, and an average middle-of-the-road Republican is several degrees greater than the difference between like a Justice Dem and an average Dem. In fact, I would say the difference between Bernie and Biden is almost insignificant compared to the difference between Biden and like like Cruz.
No. That is exactly not. No. They're exactly, I would say, equidistant from each other. So you're that whole thing is absolutely wrong.
Or something, you know? The Republican and Democrat parties are like miles, like so far apart. Like Republicans won't vote for anything Democrats try to put through, at least in the Senate.
Is he like 20? Because he makes fun of Jason and Jackson in this for being like a kid. And it's, dude, they're not that far apart. They're far apart on a couple issues. Most issues they slip through and they don't talk about. They're far apart on emotional response issues to keep you guys emotionally responding to things instead of looking at it and going, wow, we should really be past some of these issues already. Why are we still talking about this crap? This has been figured out 50 years ago. And why are we still talking about it?
Because it's such like a tight run.
$1 to DCCC candidates. Don't you also think? Wait, Sam. Don't you also think that given that AOC specifically said that she was not going to donate to them, that's a problem that she then went out and donated to them? And this is before
that. I think people could take issue with that.
And this is before there's even a Democratic primary. So there was going to be progressive.
You say game over. Game over. 26 minute of his video, meaning 25th minute or so of the video, game over. I think that's enough, right? I mean,
challengers like Ava Patsova in Arizona's first district.
I think people could take issue with that.
So why did you not?
We did talk about it.
You just told me you didn't talk about it a minute ago.
No,
he didn't. Sam said that he thinks it's okay to give the money to those congressmen.
Oh,
yes, you did.
I didn't spend as much time emphasizing it apparently as you want me to, but I've just
you just told me a minute ago you didn't talk about it. What do you think about the fact that they voted to subsidize Cobra premiums for 6 months?
I, in fact, talked about it with AOC, and I said that was garbage, and she said it was garbage.
So you talked about it before she did it or after she did it?
After she did it, she came on the show, and I literally said that was a garbage vote, and she said, yes, it's garbage.
So did you press her as to why? I'm just curious.
It's like nothing's enough. Like, well, yeah, sure. Did I press her to why? Yeah, I did. Okay. Okay. Well, did you tell her she's like a stupid bitch? And Sam's like, yeah.
No, he's pushing the conversation because he's giving one answer responses and not moving on. Jackson looks like he takes about 15 shots of espresso before these. He needs to chill out a little bit. That's why I say he doesn't win, because he was way over responsive to this. Like, he needed to step back and be able to debate more instead of jumping on words and stuff. But he's trying to take control, trying to make sure he won. And Vaush just seems like a cheerleader over here without any critical thinking.
I did, actually. And Hinkle's like, okay, sure, fine. Well, did you call her like a slur, or did you like dox her on the, or did you threaten her? Did you yeah, like, yeah. And Sam's like, no. And Jason's like, well,
you should go back and watch it.
What about when she voted to sanction
move on, just
Myanmar, Cambodia,
move to the next
and
one.
supported sanctions on Cuba, Venezuela, a handful of other countries she voted to sanction, and basically the entire global South.
Yeah, I'm against sanctioning, in particular the case of Venezuela.
Okay. What about when she refused?
I mean, as far as don't subscribe to this jackass. Vaush is horrible. That was just a waste of my day. That's 2 hour and 45-minute video. I had it playing at 1 3/4 or something, 1.5 the whole time. So that was my yoga and exercise today, and it was aggravating. It was not very therapeutic. So don't do that to yourself. Don't do Vaush while you're trying to be therapeutic. So there was a highlight today. I'm done with that. So please don't watch Vaush. And that debate was not a blowout. Anybody that says that's a blowout is probably trying to be a fanboy at the moment. They need to step up and criticize both sides. You gotta be open to criticism. You need to be able to give criticism to everybody. But and a off shot here. Uh-oh. Yep, I got. There was a story today on this day of history. It was a pretty big moment in history, fairly big for Americans at least. So all that wild stuff, and yeah, there's a few big stories. I wanted to start out with the reason I'm doing this. So the American tragedy today, the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded on this day in 1986, 74 seconds into its flight, and about 10 miles above the Earth, 7 astronauts were killed, including the teacher, Krista McAuliffe, who would have been the first ordinary citizen in space from intermediate school 187 in Diker Heights, was renamed the Christina McAuliffe School in her honor. So that happened when I was a young child, this day in history. And it was interesting to look back and see some other big stories on this day. This day in 1916, the Brooklyn Daily Eagle reported in Washington, the explosion of a bomb in the Senate chamber could have caused no more astonishment this afternoon than the announcement of Louis B. Brandeis of Boston to be Associate Judge of the United States Supreme Court to succeed the late Justice Joseph Lamar. The president's selection caused the utmost astonishment. The name of Brandeis has never been whispered in connection with the Supreme Court vacancy outside the inner circles of the White House. A fight against the confirmation of Brandeis is assured from the attitude of several senators who were surprised out of their calm by the news. This is a Democrat as well as Republican opposition. So the big bombshell this year in 1916 was a Supreme Court justice nomination. It's kind of funny for this day in history because of course, another Supreme Court nomination occurring at the moment. 47. In Albany, a bill penalized indifferent voters by making them subject to a $25 fine if they fail to go to the polls and cast ballots was introduced in the legislation today by Assemblyman Max H. Churchman, Brooklyn Democrat. The bill is modeled on the Australian law applying to all persons eligible to vote and would permit the imposition of penalty if they fail to register, and also if, after having registered, they fail to vote in November in local, state, and national elections. The ballot is such a vital and important function, as well a duty of every citizen, that is high time that all persons who are citizens and qualified to vote shall be required to do so by law. I want to remind you that this is a $25 fine in 1947. Can you imagine a $2,500 fine for not voting? And this was something that they were pushing in New York, and that had already happened in Australia, which I believe there is a few nations that have small fines for not voting, but it's nothing. It's more like $25. It's not like what $25 would have been from 1947. A little intense. And then the other really interesting one was in 1948, the Soviet government prohibited Russians from talking to foreigners. Today, in designated Foreign Ministry VW Moscow's Foreign Office as the sole clearinghouse for contact with the outside world. This was the day that they shut off communication. As a national decree, which is just wild. And in '63, what was that? The United States said today that it made more space progress than Russia in '62. The claim was a report to Congress by President Kennedy, which said 1962 achievements occurred a record even greater this year. So they just they gave them a report that they had done more than whatever. But the big thing was the Challenger, of course, today. And interesting to note that we are also going to be on a highly contested Supreme Court justice, not because it needs to be contested, because both sides are the same, but because it's just going to be contested for no reason. So that's what we do. Wanted to end this shift with something funny, some comedy. But first, of course, protests and strike updates. We can see a Melbourne, Australia protest against COVID restrictions. The vid, the co, and the vid. They're also fighting the date mans, another nation, another Western civilization nation, Australia being police trained like ours, being a government run like ours. They're also fighting mandates and date mans. All right, said it. So that was from RT. They had a little bit about them today. Another one was Santiago, Chile, and this was pretty wild. This was some demonstrations against the president that had been put into power 2 years ago from their civil war a couple years ago, but the video starts out so fast. So these ladies, just because it's going to happen so fast, these ladies are out here dancing on the street, and they know protests are going to get wild, but they're out here dancing and trying to sing and protest and be nonviolent, and then bam, water cannons. Right away. Now in Chile it's summer, so I'm sure some of these people are seeming to be okay with this. That's not just water. That's tear gas. So a car just driving through with tear gas, one shooting water hoses. Reminds me of a protest around here. But if we wanted to, you know, America could show this footage and be like, let's go to war. Let's do this. It's all just what kind of, you know, what kind of tensions they have with other Western nations. Luckily, Chile's not in that attack at the moment. Again, RT is showing us. I couldn't find anything this afternoon on any of the rallies or protests in American news, but if you look yonder, you can find some things. And this one's from Rupley. I was watching it live this morning. I just picked a segment in the center here that I thought would work well as a representation. So let's watch a few minutes. This is going to be a Yellow Vest gathering, a Paris gathering against, again, the COVID, and mandates, mandates. That is a massive amount of people at this protest. Like, the French get out and protest, man. America, we've lost it the last 100 years. I know in the 60s we were okay, but when you look back at some of the stuff that we used to do in the 1900s, the 1880s, the 1890s, the early 1900s, 1910s, we really used to do some stuff. I did not notice where this was, but everybody's smiling and waving, and then they're flipping somebody off, and they're smiling and waving again. So, oh, there they are. Crazy ton of police ready to attack them. Look at these ridiculous uniforms. They got like little condom hats on, but they have like literal Demolition Man, ridiculous body armor everywhere. Like you're ready to go to war, but you got these little stupid hats on, and you're just dealing with peaceful protests, and you're trying to antagonize them to get out of control. Like, it's ridiculous what our governments are doing right now with the protesters. French like everyone else. We don't want to see. We do not want to see police when we are trying to peacefully protest. Because the one thing they'll do is make sure it's not peaceful anymore. So yeah, the French are protesting again. And to finish our show tonight, I wanted to do another Jimmy clip, but this was pretty good. A feel good story, which just shows how messed up things really are. I want to start it right here. This is Jimmy Dore Show, and our CNN runs a feel good story about a homeless Girl Scout. No kidding.
Wow. Well, you see that? And you idiots want to give every...
This says a 7-year-old from Alabama is selling lemonade to help pay for her brain surgeries. And that's somehow a good thing.
Everybody Medicare for all and take away that girl's pride and dignity.
No, you stupid.
Pride and dignity she's going to feel from somehow selling enough lemonade to pay for her own...
Can you stop sugar cravings? According to the Mid-America Heart Institute, sugar is more addictive than cocaine.
Her own brain surgery.
I couldn't even make up a joke. If I had to make like a sad exaggeration for a joke in a cartoon, I wouldn't even come up with a girl has to sell lemonade on the street.
For her brain surgery.
Because people, who sells lemonade anymore? Well, I guess kids that need brain surgery.
Brain surgery.
Holy shit.
Every heartwarming human interest story in America is like he raised $20,000 to keep 200 orphans from being crushed in the orphan crushing machine, and then never asks why an orphan crushing machine exists or why you'd need to pay to prevent it from being used. That's exactly right. Here's another. By the way, I don't know if you listen to that commie bullshit from some entitled loser who can't stand to see kids sell lemonade to pay for their brain surgery like they're supposed to. So here, this was one of my all-time favorite clips. This sums up this neoliberal culture we're living in. You ready for this? Watch this.
We are living longer, and people are working longer, and the truth of the matter is elderly baby boomers have got a lot to offer to our society, and we shouldn't think about giving up our responsibilities in society. Isn't that right?
That's right.
Yeah. But nevertheless, there's a certain comfort to know that the promises made will be kept by the government.
Yes.
And so thank you for asking that. You don't have to worry.
That's good because I work jobs and
I don't know what the fuck just happened to that clip. And I don't know why it's so low. It's fucking too low, and the punchline of the fucking clip drops out. You ready to hear this? You ready for this? Here's the punchline.
Works 3 jobs. Uniquely American. That is fantastic. That you're
okay. Look, I'm gonna skip that because that is so frustrating. I can't even tell you. So, it's so fucking nuts. Okay, so, here's another one. So, and I don't know if you could hear that lady was telling George Bush was assuring that woman that her Social Security would be there for her, and she said, "Well, I hope so because I think I contribute. I work 3 jobs." And he says, 3 jobs. Wow, isn't that uniquely American? Isn't that great? That's what he says. Like, it doesn't dawn on that guy, yeah, that it's senior citizens shouldn't have to work 3 jobs in the richest country in the world. We're teaming up with Girl Scouts on their first National Computer Science Program and Cyber Challenge, which will empower girls to pursue careers in STEM fields, including cybersecurity, computer science, and robotics. Who's saying that? Raytheon. It's Raytheon, ladies and gentlemen. Now we get to the good part.
Oh, this is amazing.
These are the salaries of the Girl Scouts.
Girl Scouts.
That's 2017 or 2020. I'm sorry, 2020.
So this is right.
Because she left.
So she was the former CEO. She was making $732,000. She departed in August of 2020. Anthony Doyle, he's the former COO. He departed in March of 2020. He was making $500,000. Lynette McKay, Chief Customer Service Officer, she was making $450,000. Angela Olden, CFO, she was making
That is 5 people making over $437,000, with one of them being almost $750,000 in the Girl Scouts.
almost 450. This is a lot of money. This is like $3-4 grand a day, something like that. I'm not a math science, so I'm gonna check my numbers. How about Barry Horowitz? He's the Chief Revenue Officer. He makes $437,000. Here we go. It keeps going. Jennifer Rokon, General Counsel, she makes $433,000. Saprit Kaur Saluja, she's a Chief Strat. I don't know what that even means. She makes $395,000. Florence Godfrey, former Chief Brand Marketing and Comm Officer, he made $350,000. And that Freytag, former Chief of Staff, made $336,000. Boy, these people are really proud of their skills. They're really proud of their skills.
So that first page had 5 people. The second page has 4. The third page has another 5. And where do we go here? And so that's 14, 15, 16, 17 people that make more than $225,000 a year in the Girl Scouts. And then what he goes on to show is that out of the 19 highest paid people, 15 of them are male, only 4 females run the Girl Scouts. 14 men making more than $250,000 a year are running the Girl Scouts. Sounds right? Sounds like corporate America has not dipped their toes into everything, and we're just extracting wealth for the people on top. No, it sounds like this is a good thing. We need to, those Girl Scout cookies need to be a little bit higher price probably, because we're not getting enough money from those dues and those cookies to the top. We need to get some more money to the top. Buy everything from Amazon because they need more money. Donate money. Start donating money to Jeff Bezos, guys. Just go ahead and donate it. Why go through all the steps? Please donate to these poor people that are only making several $100,000 doing things that what do those jobs even entail? Like, it's the Girl Scouts. It's a founded program in which most people donate their time. So where's this need for this many people at the top? And that's our feel-good story of the night. I feel so much better. I'm sure you do too. I was going to try to take down Eric Swalwell, but it looks like outside of his presidential campaign, most of his kind of campaign finance stuff has disappeared. So I'm going to go ahead and X him out as not doing him. I'm looking for people to do tomorrow. Right now, all I have is Marcia Fudge on the bank, so I guess I'll just do her and call it good. I will see you guys all tomorrow for a midnight, maybe 11 o'clock show after the football game. I'll try to sneak an early show in tomorrow, 11 o'clock Eastern, and go over some more. I have some more old school clips and some more, what was it? Well, either way, I will see you guys tomorrow around midnight, every night, and we'll come out and take down some politician and go over some news of the day, the news of the week, and try to catch an old school clip once in a while. So yeah, it's your Stony Progressive, your bartender buddy, beat and tired, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow, probably 11.